let's just go to the VAR. We're on VAR. Let's stick with VAR. I mean, we're sticking on the Saturday. For me, there's two things, and this is surprising as a Liverpool fan, and I've watched it back, and I can't really understand where Mike Dean. This one seems to have gone under the radar. I can't understand how Mike Dean has cancelled out that Gabriel Jesus' goal. Because not Gabriel Jesus. Gabriel Jesus a handball and Laporte finish. The first time, I mean, with the old rules, I can see that is a handball. But the new law is that the shirt is where the ball hits the hand. And Mike Dean's telling Kevin De Bruyne, and he's telling all the players, he's pointing on his sort of bicep, saying it's hit him here. Yeah. And the players, rightly so, they're all saying that the new rule is that is okay. The FA or Premier League or whatever have all told us that the handball is from where sort of the shirt cut finishes, and it's the rest of the arm. And in real time, I thought that is a handball. It's touched him. It's touched his arm. But when you think about the laws, if you apply the laws correctly, that wasn't a handball. I mean, I think it should be a handball. At the end of the day, it's his arm. But it wasn't a handball, and the referee's got that wrong. And he's telling Kevin De Bruyne and all the players it's hit him here, and they're rightly in their minds going, yeah, it has hit him there. We agree, but that's not a handball. And Mike Dean's fucked that up. It's typical VAR. It's just getting things wrong, and the referees are atrocious. You look at it, and I thought in hindsight that is hard done by Man City. I don't know what you think on that point, because obviously after that we'll go to the Man United one, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, sat there watching that as a Leeds fan, I'm just sat there shaking my head in disbelief. I mean, Patrick Bamford got a goal ruled off before the international break for a quote-unquote handball, but the other defender's arse was playing him onside anyway, but they chose not to watch that angle. They watched the angle and they give him offside because the shoulder was technically offside. So they've ruled that one off, and then they've then given Jesus offside handball for hitting a part of his arm, which on another day it's deemed an attacking advantage to point where you want the bleeding thing, and then on Saturday night, for some reason it's not handball. It is handball, and where's the consistency? What's happened to attacker's advantage? We want to see goals, not just technicalities and refs making a right dog's dinner of it every weekend. It's getting tiresome. We'll move on in a minute to the other game, but it's just, for me, it's ruining the entertainment of football. It's just getting stupid.
Yeah, I was a big advocate of VAR at the start. I thought it would improve the game. I mean, I remember in my own head, because Liverpool obviously lost the league that they bottled it. The Gerrard slip as such was there was a game around Christmas, New Year.
Shame, that real shame.
There was a game around New Year where Raheem Sterling was adjudged offside against Man City. We ended up losing the game, I think, but he was about 3 foot onside. 3 foot. It was massively onside. They absolutely made a dog's dinner of it. And he was so far onside, it was so clear, but the linesman got it bad, and it was a bad call. And in my head, I thought those kind of decisions will be stamped out of the game. But those decisions are very few and far between. They're very rare, and they're once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
But you look at it and you think it's changing things like that Bamford goal, right? And sort of maybe the Mane one that was at Liverpool, and you look at sort of certain handballs that are being given that would never have been given beforehand. And I'm just looking at it going, what is going on? The game's changing, and it's not changing for the better. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like we've unleashed the beast now, and it's such an unpleasant addition to football. I mean, I thought it would boost the game. I can admit I was wrong. I was such an advocate of technology, but whether it's the people or how it's implemented, it's not going right. I mean,
yeah,
it's killing the game. You look at the Bamford one, you look at sort of the Mane one. There's been so many others. West Brom, how it's being overturned and sides are getting done over unfairly when there's nothing wrong with the game. It's really got to me, and I just think football's fucking really doing itself a disservice when it's the biggest Premier League's the biggest league in the world, and it's doing nothing. It's detracting from the product. It's stopping the goal. It's stopping the momentum. If there was crowds in the stadium, they wouldn't be celebrating as much at the full.
Oh, there'd be riots now. There'd be riots.
It just really does do my head in.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely spot on, and I mean, it sort of defeats the purpose of having a sports talk show, and we both agree. But I think you find any football fan that disagrees with any point you've made or I've made. Really, it's an absolute farce. And then we move on. I mean, was a good game. Spurs, very good value for the money. Great win. Typical Mourinho, hard to break down. Would the goal have changed the game? Probably not, actually. I think Spurs played well. But we go to Manchester United, West Brom. And Manchester United, David Coote is the referee, and he's in hot water anyway at the minute. He's a clown. I mean, I don't know how he's a professional referee. If you look at the way he handled the Van Dijk situation, how he ever got the Merseyside gig in the VAR room, it tells you all you need to know about him. He's not even running around. He's sat on his keyboard, making terrible decisions in the booth, and then they think, in hindsight, let's give him the gig at 8 o'clock at Old Trafford. And Fernandez kicks him. It's so contact, he can't even write it. I was like, why are they even going to the booth? Like, it's such a nailed-on pen.
I cannot get my head around that.
And then they get it over.
I really cannot get my head around.
Oh no, yeah, 100%.
I literally do not understand it. I mean, I think West Brom are a sack of shit. Like, they are a terrible football side, and they do the Premier League no benefit. It's a nailed-on reason why West Brom, the Premier League, should be down to 18 sides. I mean, they're a shocking side. They're so boring, but the injustice that is. I mean, if Man United, I don't like to believe it, but I think because Man United, they're a massive club, I feel like there's this underlying bias. Maybe I'm not saying that the referees are cheating, but maybe that they just naturally gain decisions with the way that sort of the atmosphere is at Old Trafford. But that decision is never. I mean, if you go look at the West Brom incident and go, right, now we're going to overturn that. We're going to overturn that. And then 5 minutes later, you go down the other end and you give a handball from that distance. And you just think, you've not had one bad decision. You've had two bad decisions. You could argue you've had, it's not even a 50-50 on either of them. I mean, there's no justice, as you say. And people will talk about, it levels itself out over the season. But does it? Like, Man United are getting all these decisions. Now, I'm not saying there's an underlying thing, but West Brom, if they go down, and they look like they will go down because they're a sack of shit, let's be fair, they're absolutely terrible. But that could be 3 points away at Old Trafford that could have rejuvenated a side who think, actually, look at us. We've beaten a so-called big boy, even though Man United are minnows these days. They could have gone away and got 3 points at Old Trafford, and that could rejuvenate their season. But you look at it, it's just, there's no justice. And I mean, if I was the likes of the managers like Bilic or whatever, if I would be seething. I mean, it made me feel sick to watch it. I wasn't watching at the time. I had the boxing on, and I flicked on, and I just thought, this is an absolute shambles. And you have to feel sorry for West Brom. But Man United, as I say, I watched the boxing mainly, but another terrible drab performance. Raheem Sterling gets so much positivity because of what he's doing outside of football. I was watching something where they were talking about Sterling or Rashford, saying Raheem Sterling's on fire this year and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, he scored 2 goals in 9 Premier League games. Man United are a terrible football side at the moment. I mean, they've got so lucky. You look at the wins against Brighton and West Brom, where they've got fortunate with VAR. They could be in a real dire strait. And I'm just done with it, to be fair. VAR's pissed me off.
Well, VAR's bailing them out like you wouldn't believe. I mean, I was sat there watching it, just like, how is that even remotely fair on West Brom? It's hard enough as it is coming to Old Trafford as a promoted side. Hard enough as it is being West Brom, not winning games. You've got to motivate yourself. You get a great opportunity. You get clearly fouled in the box. And then David Coote decides to be man of the hour, goes to the VAR, fucks the decision up. Manu go the other end, hits his hand, penalty. He saves the penalty, off his line, retake, buries it, finishes the game 1-0. Manchester United have had 44 penalties now in 100 games. You're telling me that isn't something dodgy going on, you know what I mean? 44 penalties. It took Leeds 2 years to get a penalty in the Championship. 2 years without a penalty Leeds went. I remember it clear as day. Angus Kinnear said in the programme notes, they're going to stop painting the penalty spot at this point. It took 2 years for us to get a decision at Ellen Road. They had 44 penalties. It's mad. It's madness.
There's no doubt. You do watch them, and they do get a lot of penalties, and quite a few of them are deserved, and that sort of happens with an attacking side. But there's a lot of them that aren't deserved, and it just seems, especially when you go West Brom, don't get a penalty if you show anybody 2 penalties and go which one's more reasonable, it's the West Brom one by all day.
Yeah,
and they've got it wrong. They've flipped it the wrong way around, and it's an injust, but.